and got the nerve enough to sign your real name. You know, Henrietta, you're going to have us all evicted.
Evicted, Mama?
Yeah, that's right. If you pay any attention to your sister, she's going to have us all living in the street.
Oh, living in the street. Man, that is totally out of sight. I can't wait.
You can't wait for what?
Now I can have my own room. Some of us ain't ready, honey.
And that is one number that ain't never going to get ready.
Now, I wrote in my letter that we're all coming down with colds. So when the landlord gets here, I want you just to cough.
Hey, what kind of cough would you like for me to do?
My mother was okay with it, but my father wasn't, because his idea of actresses was that actresses were, in his words, whores. You know, that they slept with people to become successful. And my father was a research scientist, my mother was a school teacher, my parents were educated, and I don't want to say that they looked down on acting, but also as an African American, they wanted stability. And their parents had raised them to go to college. You know, that generation, education was very, very key.
Right.
And, you know, acting just wasn't a viable, stable option. Really, even so much so because you didn't see any black people on TV anyway, and hardly anybody. I think, you know, you had Sidney Poitier. I'm not really sure. I would have to really go back, but I do remember Sidney Poitier beginning or whatever. But I mean, that was a really hard.
Yeah.
There weren't any open doors.
Right. Especially
so my
being
parents, my mother had wanted to be an actress, and she was gifted, and I found out later on her deathbed that she had won some acting awards in high school in her youth and stuff like that, you know. But what I did was I didn't even know it, but I went on a food strike, and I wouldn't eat, you know. I didn't eat for a whole week or whatever, and you know, I said, why? I said, I want to be an actress. I want to be an actress. I want to act. Now, mind you, I didn't think I couldn't, even though I didn't see anybody of my color on TV. It never crossed my mind that I couldn't. And so the only Asian in town, as far as I knew, all over the whole world, was a very famous lady by the name of Lil Cumber. Now I'm talking legendary. Lil Cumber was the only agent that handled black people that wanted to act. My mother found her. I was living in Los Angeles, California, which was a very strategic place. And my mother found her, and she had me in, and I was like 11 years old, and the whole thing was, there are no parts for anybody your daughter's age, and I know, there are no parts for black people your daughter's age, and I know you think your daughter can act, and she wasn't trying to be mean, but she was just laying it out, like what it was, My mother says, well, if I have to buy the theater and write the play, my daughter's going to act, because my mother was like
she was going to make sure her daughter got what she wanted.
And she was a civil rights activist anyway, and she didn't like people telling her no. And she had fought all her life, as those people from that generation did. They fought, and they were taught, they had to be 3 times as good and all that. So I remember, leaving that office with legendary Lil Cumber's kind of mix, like disappointed but kind of excited at the same time. I mean, I saw the power of my mother, but then, so that was a closed door. So then she kept looking, and she found another legend. Oh my Lord, I was so blessed to be in the presence of some of the most genius actors in my life. Wow. She found a gentleman by the name of Frank Silvera. Now everybody should get on the internet and look up Frank Silvera. He was a black man, but at physical appearance he looked Mexican or Italian. And he never denied his blackness, but a lot of times he played roles where he was Mexican. He was a co-star, like he was a co-star in Viva Zapata, and he did a lot of roles and was able to build an excellent resume and make money. And so he was a very well-known character actor, black guy, but who did all these roles, was able to do a lot of roles because of his physical appearance. Right. And but he was devoted to his people and devoted to black people, and he had a theater called the Theater of Being on Robertson Boulevard. And Maya Angelou was there, and I was 12 years old. Maya was probably 30 or 25 maybe at the time. Bea Richards was there, who later became nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, where she played Cindy Poitier's mother. Yaphet Kotto was there. Now, none of us, I hadn't started on, 13 years later, I'm guest starring on TV, and, Don Mitchell was there, who later became the regular co-star on Ironside with Raymond Burr. We were all unknown little, well, I wasn't poor because of my family, my mother and father, but they were like poor little struggling actors. And, my mother and father would have the theater group over for dinner and feed them because they were starving.
so they was literally starving actors.
But, my mother was a great humanitarian. They had a Christian heart, and she loved the actors, and, but you become family. But this was before any of us became well known and had that success. And this was before, I want to say this, the Watts riot, because what happened, Jermaine, was, I was studying Romeo and Juliet, Shakespeare, James Baldwin, great playwrights, doing these plays and workshops. But there weren't any roles on television, there weren't any interviews. I remember I would just weep and cry. I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to make movies. I wanted to do stuff. And I would cry, and, they would say, oh, it's going to happen, just whatever, hang in there, whatever. Even though, in a certain way, it seemed impossible. But I do have to say that these actors really believed in the midst of doors being shut. So the Watts riot came, and, black people started demanding, black people on, we appreciate Amos and Andy, but we have black actors, we have this, we have that. Black people started demanding opportunities in every walk of life. So there I was, 13, at the Watts riot, and Hollywood started calling the one place in town
that knew
where black actors were. Now these, we're everywhere. But I'm telling you, pioneer, I'm talking history, before you all had all these, before we could, study with, necessarily some white places. I don't know, some theater groups have always been sort of ahead of their times. And a lot of artistic people, white and Asian, Mexican, were beyond color. But then you had those professional doors being shut in terms of, television and movies and stuff. So doors started opening, and they called Frank Silvera. We need a kid for this guest starring role on Mr. Novak.
And it's me.
So he said, yeah,
Wow. And then the rest is history, huh?
The rest is history.
Hi! Merry Christmas! Oh, can I do that? No, it tires easily. It's kind of cute, in a zigzag sort of way.
It's the dumbest tree ever.
Maybe I can tie it to the window. Give me a hand. Can you hold it for me? Yeah, sure. Give me the ribbon.
Hey, Corey, I've got a present for you. Merry Christmas.
Thanks, I have one for you, too.
Oh, good.
Right here.
Well, how's that? Groovy. Looks like a green wolfhound on a red leash.
If it barks, I'll faint.
Where's Corey?
He's in the bedroom, Earl. Go on in.
Corey, I got a present for you. Gee, what an unusual tree.
It's an abstract pine. They're all the rage this year.
Oh, ours is a plain old traditional. What happens if you untie it?
I keep hoping it'll run away.
Usually falls asleep on the floor. Do many people have trees like this?
Only the in crowd.
When we speak